Good evening, folks. Welcome to another date on the Journalist Hangout Show. This is the last edition for the week. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, President Tinubu wades into Ondo crisis, invites gladiators to Abuja, and later on, this one, 9 years after Boko Haram massacre of 59 students at the Federal Government College, Buniyadi in Yobe State, the rebuilding of the school is still on. Babajide Kolade Otitoju visited the school and relieved the mass murder that shook the country. But let me report I'm hanging out with Jide himself. I greet you. Good evening.
Good evening, Citizen.
Yeah, we're joined by Tony Nwaje.
Good evening, Citizen, and good evening, Nigerians.
So the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay, let's go. You know, the death of any Nigerian diminishes us, and the passing of a loved one disparages us the more. A former general officer commanding, that's the GOC of the 82 Division of the Nigerian Army at Enugu, retired Major General Yohana Yerema Kure, has passed on. The affable, soft-spoken, and personable officer died on Thursday, November 23rd in Kaduna. He was aged 84. His interment has been fixed by the family for December the 1st. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. That's another giant gone, and coming.
Remember the name.
Coming so soon after the loss of General Mohammed Chris Ali, former Chief of Army Staff from Kogi State. We've lost Wawa Kure, and Wawa Kure will be remembered for being the GOC who put an end to the Maitasine riots. Maitasine had...
Okay, the Second Republic.
Yes, in 1980. Maitasine had killed so many people, and the government gave them the marching orders to put an end to the nonsense at that time. It was Wawa Kure who was GOC, and the commanding officer who actually led the operation was the former spy chief during the IBB era, the man from Madobi in Kano State. Remember him? The one that was accused of killing the Lego. You know, there were two of them.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So he was the one who actually led the operation. When you go to Kano, in some of in the city center, you still see bullet holes that show you the extent of the fighting. I'm talking about General Halilu Akilu.
Yeah.
Halilu Akilu was the commanding officer. He was reporting to General Y.Y. Kure. It was Akilu who led that operation.
Akilu of the DMI fame.
Yes, was the spy intelligence officer, you know, and he put an end to the nonsense that Maitasine constituted at that time. The loss of lives that came with Maitasine in Yola, in Borno State, the Bulunkutu area, and in Kano. Killed so many people in Kano until Y.Y. Kure, the general, and his junior, the commanding officer, Haliru Akilu, came together to make sure that Maitasine was defeated. So every time Maitasine comes to mind, we must remember, because it was in Kano that fellow from northern Cameroon who terrorized our people, his real name was Marwa. You know, it was in Kano that an end...
Mohammed Marwa.
Yes, it was in Kano that an end to the nonsense that he represented came to an end, thanks to these two officers and the troops that they commanded. So every time you remember Maitasine, Y.Y. Kure comes to mind as their GOC at the time.
The name is what comes to mind almost all the time. Y.Y. Kure.
Yes, Yerima Yohana Kure.
Yeah. Tony, the Bible talks about 3 scores and 10 years, 70. So when you hit 80, it's a boon.
It's like when you see obituary posters, you see celebration of life.
Yeah.
So though that's not, it could have gone, possibility, 90 is not bad, 80 is not bad equally, but I think God creates us and He decides when we leave. It's like a stage. I think I remember Yohana Kure, a member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council then, and he was more like a household name then. That's why I didn't even know he has passed. Those were the set of Nigerian military men, that we can confidently say, during the military regime that you can ascribe 1 or 2 things to them in terms of development of the country. It's a name that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yohana Kure, under Babangada's regime, were a major player under his administration. I pray for the repose of his soul and, hope that the family has, that God will just be with them at this moment of grief.
Well, we're reminded that we have one life to live. But if you live it well, that once is enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, General, keep resting in the bosom of the Lord, as they say. All right, to our next story. To be a poor man is hard, but to be a poor people in a supposed land of plenty like ours must be the very bottom of hardship. To say that every day is enduring life and living is understating the obvious, if you understand me. But an All Progressives Congress APC support group known as Booth to Booth has called on the federal government to roll out a comprehensive social protection program to ameliorate the hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal. The intervention, if done in line with global best practices, would capture the poor and most vulnerable and so lift them out of grating poverty. Tony.
Yeah. They are speaking my mind, because I think I've said it here many times. Really, we need a comprehensive package. The subsidy is gone. The president has removed it. But apart from that, a lot of things must, quickly come in place to cushion the effect.
There ought to be a story to go with.
Okay.
There's a story to go with they need to produce it.
Okay. Tony, I know that we have a story.
Okay, behind it.
I should have seen that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let's go. Let's take the story that underscores what we're trying to tell you. Please come with me.
Of the staff, for your welfare, and for you to make sure there is equity and fairness in the solution.
People are going through a rough time, and we felt it is necessary for us to contribute our own quota in alleviating the suffering of the people.
Just restricted to the party, but to the entire Nigerian nation. The APC government, led by President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is not a government that is unconscious of the need and desire of Nigerians generally. And that is why this is one government that has done things across party boards.
Again, I'm sorry we missed that. Tony, pictures don't tell lies.
Yeah, I salute them for doing this. Nigerians, majority of Nigerians need this, because truly, let's be sincere, a lot of Nigerians are going through tough times right now, because we go to the marketplace on a daily basis, and the message from there is not palatable, So if government, it's good to remove subsidy, but there must be a follow-up. Apart from transportation, CNG, buses and all that. The one that matters to people mostly is that market, that you can go and come out with something. These days you walk into a supermarket, maybe 100K, and you can't even buy anything. I think it will get into that point where we need to regulate prices. And I think Nigerians are beginning to be wicked unto ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You don't blame government. There are some things.
Is this us? Is this really
us? We have sincerely speaking, it's like we've lost our humanity. And at times they blame government for this. There are some that government cost, but there are some too that we as the people cost ourselves, leveraging on the inefficiency of government. You go to some places and they kind of price it, and they will tell you it's the cost of, foreign exchange. Something that I don't even related. We are going to be wicked and it cannot help this country. We can't blame government all the time.
Yeah.
We blame ourselves too because we are contributing to this.
Yeah.
We need this. I salute this group of Nigerians.
Both.
Yes, because, and I want to implore government to take a cue from this. I don't know. We used to have a price regulatory bodies in those days. Because
I think price regulation board.
I think we need it now. Something needs to be done because what you buy in Nigeria yesterday, the price at which you bought it yesterday is not the same today. So what is happening? Something has to be given.
Yeah.
There must be a check. You cannot continue around the country. People are really going through hard times. Something needs to happen.
In the president's manifesto, he talked about this issue of pricing of commodities and all that, and the need to keep them stable. Our people will continue to live in agony if we can't find a way to keep prices of essential items stable.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like a free-for-all. People are just doing what they like, just doing what they like. No one is stopping anybody. Today, you can get up and say, okay, a bottle of pure water, a bottle of water is
500.
Costed 200 naira. And then
it's almost there.
The people are helpless. We've got to do something about this. But for me, there is a greater necessity to alleviate the pains that our people are going through. And that is the point that these people are making. The boot-to-boot guys that look, the most vulnerable in our society, we've got to take care of them. Because the shock absorbers that some people have, the very vulnerable in the society do not have. They live for the day, they don't know where the next meal will come from. And government policy has even made them poorer. You can imagine a situation in which the MBS said that 2/3 of Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. About 170 million Nigerians multidimensionally poor. So, and that was before the removal of subsidy. The removal of petrol subsidy and the desire to refloat the naira have both contributed to worsening poverty in our nation. We know that it's inevitable at some point we must stop paying subsidy because it was hurting the country badly. But there had to be mitigating effects. We have to take steps to reach the most vulnerable in our society. Otherwise, we will have human lives on our hands. We will have deaths on our hands. And as I've always said on this, I commend the governors who are reaching out to distribute these essential items to people, and we can see them do it. We can see them do it. We saw the governor of Borno State do it. We've seen SEMA in Yobe State do it at a level that is almost unprecedented. So this is what we want to see across the state, because everybody appears to be pointing at the center. But there is a lot that local government chairmen can do, that state governors can do. Instead of just traveling all around, turning Abuja to your home where there is work to do in your state. Governors should be seen to be helping to alleviate the pains of our people. I've had people say, look, in my state, I've not even seen them publicly distribute palliatives. Those are not the kind of stories we need to be hearing.
It's true.
It's true. We shouldn't be hearing such stories now. Every governor must know the urgency that this deserves. And every governor must play his part in ensuring that our people, the very, very poor in our society, are reached. Because government, by its conditional cash transfer program, cannot reach everybody. It's not possible. The states have to play their part. That is what we are not seeing. They have to play their part. And money has been made available to them to do it. So how come it's difficult for us to even see what some of them are doing?
Tony talked about seeming loss, the seeming loss of humanity.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy what we do to ourselves.
It is. Some of us behave, this what is meant for people, we appropriate it. We believe that we have 2 lives. Nobody has 2 lifetimes. It's just one that God has given us. That is for those who believe in God. You cannot, you shouldn't behave like this whole thing is for you and your family and your friends alone. When you work for the people, you live in their hearts forever.
Yeah.
You live in their hearts forever. It's as simple as that.
Okay. So what more can we say here? Let's go to our next story. You know, in Nigeria, what we call a political crisis is simply a crisis of brokenness. Broken institutions, broken families, and broken souls, if you ask me. The political crisis in Ondo State is festering like a cancerous sore. President Bola Tinubu, as father figure, has invited the gladiators in Ondo State to Abuja. The Jojo is designed to put an end to the brokenness of brotherliness between Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and his number 2 man, Lucky Ayedatiwa. Meanwhile, a planned sitting of the State House of Assembly to settle the log jam has been pushed forward. Sometimes, Tony, you wonder if it is true that when a crisis goes on for too long, both parties are wrong.
In this case, I don't think both parties are wrong. Yeah. The governor has been absent from the state for some time. Let's be realistic. And this kind of thing happened when Yar'Adua was in, and we faced it. The history is there, and it's just like yesterday. The governor has not been seen. If you're a governor of a state, I sympathize with him and the family at this point because I know it's beaten.
Yeah.
He didn't call for it. But I believe if you're ill, you can still be governor. Let the people. The cries from Ondo State is that they don't even see their governor. He's been in your state and all that. I don't have a problem with that. But communicate with the people.
Yeah.
And then this frequent issue of the deputy governor must go. I mean, he's a deputy governor, and this is the second deputy governor you're going to work with. This is the second deputy governor you're going to work with. I don't know why they cannot work out peace. Settle this matter and let peace reign in Ondo State. When the people of Ondo State voted, they didn't vote for this. They voted for good governance. And I believe they will understand the governor when he speaks to them and say, this is what I'm facing right now. This. When there is no communication at all, a lot of speculation, takes place. Frequent communication with the people. You might be ill. I saw him the other day when the governors of, is it APC, went to visit him.
Yeah, at Ibadan.
It's good, yeah. Frequent communication with the people. And then this crisis between him and the deputy, something has to, it hasn't. It happened in Edo State. And it was resolved. For the sake of the people of Ondo State who voted for
you can also
growth,
talk about
development and good governance.
Yeah.
They should resolve this. It's not making any sense.
Yeah.
Any direction you take it to. And politics should not be everything. And I pray that when the president intervenes in this at this point, that matter should be sorted. And I'm happy he's stepping into it.
I hear the meeting started at about 2 this afternoon.
You recall yesterday we said this at this point the president needs to intervene, and I even recalled that when the Femodakeke crisis was really at its peak, and they were finding it difficult to resolve the logjam, President Obasanjo had to intervene. He helped the governor of the state to achieve the peace that he had long wanted. These are people who had fought each other you know, for about 100 years. The dispute was about 100 years old. And at the end of the day, the then governor, the then governor of the state, Olagunsoye Lola, went to the Ogunsua, the traditional ruler of Modakeke, took him before the Oni of Ife. Before taking him before the Oni of Ife, he had already spoken with the Oni and said, look, let's have peace. Farmlands belonging to the Modakekes that had been seized for years, let them have their farmlands back.
Yeah.
Promote the traditional ruler from Bale to Oba and pay his salaries that had been withheld for so long. The Oni of Ife agreed. So it was easy for Olagunsoye Lola to, from a position of strength, he brought the Ogunsua to Oni of Ife.
Yeah.
And interestingly, immediately Ogunsua got to the palace, instead of sitting on the chair reserved for him, he sat on the ground.
In obeisance.
Yes, and he said, look, I may have said some things that you do not like, but there is always a problem when father and son look like each other. You, Oni, you are a very stubborn man. I'm your son, I'm stubborn as well. You know, and everybody began to laugh, you know, over this. And peace was achieved at the end.
Yeah.
But I have to add that in spite of the best efforts of the Olagunsoye Lola, the governor then, who would rightly claim that as his best achievement, resolving a 100-year-old conflict. The president at the time, Obasanjo, too, at some point, had to intervene by directing that if the Modakeke, something like an area office should be created for them. If it was easy at that time, Obasanjo would have mandated the creation of a local government for Modakeke. But since that one would be problematic, needing constitutional amendment and all that, he said, okay, give them an area office. You know, and you have to give. In resolving conflict, you must be ready to give and take.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why what you said earlier, that when two people were quarreling and they cannot find a meeting ground, that means both of them have issues. Because you must be ready to yield ground.
To concede, yeah.
Yeah, you must be ready to concede, and the other person too must be ready to do that. In this case, when the deputy governor said, I apologize to my boss, if he feels bad about everything that I've done, the governor was reported to have said that he should go and
appease.
He should go and face the House of Assembly.
Yeah.
What offense has he committed? The APC leadership said Masari, the former governor of Katsina, should intervene. Yet we didn't achieve peace. Now, given the intervention of the president, we expect that there will be peace. And that was why we said during this program yesterday that at this point, the president has to intervene. You know, let us see, because I approve the suggestion of those big sons of Ondo State, former Olufalai, former Secretary of the Government Federation, the FNFRA leader, Obafasoranti, that look, this is not the time to impeach anybody. Let both of them be, but let us find a solution to this, and I believe that we will ultimately have a solution, because the state is suffering. Why would you not allow the deputy governor to work? A governor is away.
Governance has stopped.
Yes, governance has collapsed. A governor is not around
effectively
because he's ill. Because he's ill, he can't play his role, and you are not allowing the deputy to do the job. You are harassing him with impeachment threats and all that.
Constitutionally prescribed.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I hear we must take a breather here, just so we take some commercials. Please stay with us. We will return shortly.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go. Dream on. Change your world. JRB Solar Inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking it.
All right, Tony, in taking this matter home, therefore, if the number one citizen in the land has waded in, you expect both parties to sheath their swords?
Definitely. I don't expect anything less.
Because for me, Tony, there's life after politics. There's life after office.
I'm just happy that the president is wading into it. And I'm positive that something positive
for everybody.
Yes.
Involved in it.
Yeah, something positive is going to come out from it. It's as simple as that. You know how Nigeria operates. When a governor is not around, for instance, a governor travels out of the state, everything shuts down. Then you can imagine the governor not being around for a long time. I can imagine what Ondo State looks like at the moment, because there are certain things the deputy governor cannot do. And so when it happens like this, it will definitely affect the people of Ondo State. It will affect them in all ramifications. Things won't move, nothing will get approved, So I pray, I hope that when the president intervenes today, every other thing should stop. The governor is not on ground. I mean, we can't overflog this issue. It's not on seats. What is the big deal? I don't know how Nigerian politicians, I don't know how they think. Some of them, I don't know how they reason.
This whole matter is all about succession politics. I've said it from the beginning. You cannot point at any concrete evidence of gross
Insubordination or
misconduct by a man who could barely even play his role, even when he was deputy governor, when he was allowed to play that role. It's very, very apolitical. It's not like the Agbola, the man who was there before. That was very strong politically. This one is not that kind of person. So it's all in the fear that this whole thing was triggered by the fear that if this person steps in, he becomes acting governor. That gives him a great head start in the context of the
Nigerian politics,
2024 governorship election in the state. So they know that as governor, he will have power. So that could help him gain advantage over other people who want to succeed Akredolu. That's what this is. And since it's not in their group, they made up their minds, okay, let's do our best to frustrate
him out.
He does not like the man. He's the one behind the Akredolu's problem. He is not loyal to the man. Come on. Yeah. We need to treat deputy governors with respect. We need to treat them. Even the law should make it difficult for the sort of thing that is happening in Ondo State to happen, because every time we treat deputy governors like just a spare tire, like
and which they are,
who are worthless, no specific roles assigned for them, even by the Constitution. So governors see them as very dispensable.
You can dispense with anything.
Because a governor has a different person in mind to succeed him, he starts frustrating a governor, he starts relocating a governor from his office, he starts giving the impression that the governor has no reason to come close. He starts taking away some of the roles
just like in those days
to play. He starts even sacking his aides. Come on, we have to stop this sort of thing. Look at the needless wahala in Ondo State.
It's really needless.
Akredolu has done very well as a governor. Active forthright
He's allowing
and no
this one to
nonsense
distract
nature.
him, yes.
But when ailment of this nature comes, there's nothing anybody can do. We just need to pray for him that he will defeat the illness that has held him down. That should be our prayer. Instead of politicizing what is going on. No, you can't politicize or try to reap bountifully in political fashion from the unfortunate situation that the governor has found himself. Yeah. So I just hope that the president and others will find a way. They've invited the House of Assembly members, you know,
they're important.
And they are crucial in this
key.
whole thing. Yes, they invited them. We need to know what they want. If you say this man has committed, what facts do you have to say he has committed social offense, this and other? And we can't leave the state in the limbo. The state must continually be run by somebody. So this is
my trouble here, and Anthony, my trouble here is when numbers 1 and 2 fight over whose succession, you are leaving the people in the limbo.
When two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Even
and that's
when
what
they are engaged in a tango, a love tango, it's the same grass.
It's the same grass. But we cannot continue to do it this way. Just like Jide said, we need to look at it again. I think we discussed it the other day about role of deputy governors. We cannot continue to see them as spare tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to look at it again at the primary level where the governor is picked. He shouldn't have a say. The deputy governor should run concurrently. Like, I mean, I should compete so that when I get there, you don't kick me around like a football.
And
we need to look at
they will always pick
to look at, but that's why it's going like this. Well, let's do our own democracy.
The law.
The way we do our own here is different.
Not permit the governor to treat deputies.
But that's how we run it here.
Shabbily the way they are doing. You know?
Okay. The wise man said, as a leader, keep your fears away, but spread your courage around. Arakuni, I know we can do better than we're doing. Wish you well in Abuja. Okay, let's go to our next story. Nigeria has been reeling under the Boko Haram threat since 2009, but for the people of Bunuyadi, a community in Yobe State, putting behind a vicious attack of 9 years ago is in the process of being put behind them, if you understand. We recall lamentably that about 59 students of the federal government college there were massacred. Happily though, work on the rebuilding of the school is ongoing. Journalist Hangout's Babajide Kolade Otitoju went there and came back with heartwarming footage. So we'll share this story with you and then we'll talk later. Here we go.
Like any community located on Yobe State insurgency front lines, a trip to Buniyadi, headquarters of Gujuba local government area, can be a tricky affair. Boko Haram insurgents may have been weakened, but certainly not annihilated. They still retain the capacity to launch surprise attacks, despite the best efforts of the Nigerian armed forces. Recently, the insurgents killed more than 40 persons in the Gaidam area of Yobe State. Their crime allegedly was providing information for the Nigerian armed forces. This necessitated this short prayer session coordinated by the Yobe State Commissioner for Basic Education just before I left his office for Buniyadi.
May Allah's mercy and protection accompany you so that you will go there safely and return safely.
Buniyadi was occupied by Boko Haram terrorists at the height of their powers in the year 2014, but was recaptured by the Nigerian Armed Forces on the 7th of March 2015. Boko Haram, whose name means Western education is sinful, had never hidden its opposition to Western education and the Nigerian Constitution. In a video statement that went viral in February 2014, the leader of the group, Abubakar Shekau, who hail from Tarma local government area in Yobe State, threatened to widen the terrorist group's range of attacks on Western values and schools. On the night of February the 25th, 2014, Boko Haram fighters stormed Federal Government College, Buniyadi, Gujuba local government area of Yobe State. Using explosive devices and firearms, they killed about 59 male students, but with an unspecified number of students missing. The state government immediately mobilized security operatives, including local vigilantes and hunters, to comb the forests for the missing students. Recently, I paid a visit to Federal Government College, Buniyadi, to see for the second time the school where one of the worst gruesome massacres in Nigerian history happened. During the attack, Boko Haram set fire to 24 buildings in the school. But this time around, the school was generally wearing a new look. But the memories of the 25th of February massacre remains. I'm within the courtyard of Federal Government College, Buniyadi, headquarters of Gujuba local government area of Yobe State. In the year 2014, tragedy struck in this school when Boko Haram fighters killed more than 40 male students in their sleep. Behind me is one of the blocks of Yobe House of the institution. There are 2 blocks here for Yobe House, and there are 2 blocks as well for Oshun House. You can see, pan to the right, that is what used to be Oshun House. And the guests were all marched out of their hostel that night and taken to the mosque. The mosque is just a spitting distance away from here. We will get to the mosque. The guests were gathered in the mosque, but the jihadists didn't kill any one of them. It was the male students that were unlucky. They gathered the guests in the mosque. We are going to the mosque right now. You can see. Come with me. Come with me to the mosque. Yes, this was the mosque where they gathered the boys. I mean the guests. They gathered the guests here. You can see. They didn't even burn. This is the building that they left, the only building that they left unburnt. Since the massacre and destruction of the school, it has been operating from Federal Government College, Potiskum. Before the attack, FGC Buniyadi, which was established in the year 1994, was the pride of the Northeast. It represented Nigeria in the geo-challenges held in Florida, United States of America in the year 2002 and was state winner of the 6th and 10th Nigeria Stock Exchange Annual National Essay Competition for secondary schools in 2005 and 2011 respectively. It emerged state runner-up in the 4th Annual National Essay Competition for secondary schools in 2003 and came first in the 3rd National Quiz Competition on Capital Markets for secondary schools organized by the Security and Exchange Commission. That's not all. In 2012, it came first in the Zonal Chess Tournament held in Jalingo, Taraba State. Today, the school once reputed for academic excellence is deserted and no one is sure of when exactly students will return to the school.
What we did, it is not about closing down the school. We resettled the school in Potiskum properly. As we are talking, there is Federal Government College, Buniyadi, but in Potiskum, to ensure the safety of the students and the staffs. But when the renovation of the school is completed, they will all return back to their former school and continue from where they stopped. We don't want any stopgap in their education.
Apart from FGC Buniyadi, Boko Haram launched other attacks on schools in Yobe State, in Potiskum, Mamudo, Damagum, Wagir, and Ngezarma, causing huge decline in enrollment figures and worsening the out-of-school syndrome. 9 years and 9 months later, the ugly scars of the Boko Haram massacre of teenage boys at FGC Budeyadi remains etched on the campus of the school. They gathered them in this yard, made them to be shouting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But in the end, they opened fire on them and killed them. Some of the boys escaped. Some were gunned down as they were trying to escape, and the school management was picking corpses of the students the morning after. It's a long time since this terrible incident happened, but it is an incident that will never be forgotten in the history of our country. It's time to leave Federal Government College Buneyadi, but the wicked slaughter of more than 40 students will not be forgotten. Every time I pass through this state, my mind goes to those children that we lost at the height of the Boko Haram extreme wickedness and insurgency. Babajide Kolade Otitoju, TVC News, Buneyadi, Yobe State.
Yeah, Tony, you know, Jide, I'm coming to you. I want you to have a breather, you know. Tony, one thing this thing brings to mind is a crisis like this uses man's best to do man's worst. What more heinous can a group do than this one?
So I'm just speechless, you know. I didn't even know that the boys were murdered, you know, after being separated. When are we going to get through this? I mean, when are we going to get closure to this? I salute the state government for rebuilding the school, trying, you know, starting to rebuild it.
Federal government.
Okay, it's the federal government that actually did that.
Federal government.
That's commendable, yeah. So if federal government, but I will pray that they accelerate the process. There must be a closure to this, because each time you tell the story, because if you go there again to tell the story, it brings back their memory again.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I'm calling for a closure. And the only closure that can come here is rebuilding the school completely and bringing the students back and secure them, you know, secure them, and secure the life of the staff and students. Yeah. Something has to, you know, there must be a new, how do I put it? If there must be fresh air. Yeah. You know, there must be a closure. Because I mean, it happened 9 years ago, but when you watch this clip, you know, it's like it happened yesterday. Yeah. I don't know what the family, you know, we're going through. Yeah.
Because those hostels, the hostels where the massacre happened have not been rebuilt.
Not been touched at all.
Okay.
Yes, they've done a lot of work. The federal government and its partners, they've done a lot of work within the school premises. You see new buildings. I mean, buildings that have been some years back were not standing. But those hostels, last year I was in the quadrangle. Those hostels, Yobe House, Oshun House, Niger House, where they brought those boys out, gathered them, you know, near their reservoir to be massacred. those buildings are still like they used to be. You know, after the attack. So that is the very moving part of it. The mosque where they put all the guests is still standing, just the way it was. You know, they set ablaze 24 buildings within the school. It was only the mosque that they didn't set ablaze. That was where they gathered the guests, but they didn't kill the guests. It was the boys that they went for. You know, and some of the fighters on the day were just as young as some of the boys that they killed.
Yeah.
Teenage boys, killing teenage boys, you know, and it's so terrible. You can see
slaughtering people without gumption, without a feeling.
Extreme wickedness. That is what I called extreme wickedness. I was really moved. Actually, as I was about to leave the place, there is no time that I go to Yobe State that I don't remember the school. Because yes, Boko Haram kidnapped girls in Dapchi, in Yobe State, Boko Haram kidnapped girls in Chibok. But this is different. They slaughtered boys.
It's gruesome.
59 boys. They were sleeping when these guys came in. You know, you can imagine rousing people from sleep and then killing them. So it's so terrible.
It has no name.
I don't know how to describe this level of wickedness. People who have not offended you. And you know, they do not want Western education and values. Today, even the bandits affiliated to Boko Haram, they too are on this campaign against Western education. They are deliberately targeting schools.
Why are they using arrows?
And kidnap people so that when you kidnap your son, you will never feel like sending that boy back there.
But they use Western implements.
Why are they using guns? They are using arrows.
They can't make the weapons that they use. Can they make the RPGs that they use in killing people? The automatic weapons that they use, can they on their own make those things? So it's the sheer hypocrisy to say you don't want to see anything Western.
Yeah.
But you can.
We share hypocrisy, It's hypocrisy.
Their weapons.
It's simply hypocrisy.
You record yourself, you know?
Through the social media.
What do you use? You use
the telephone.
Technology.
You use your cameras, you know, to record your activities. You cannot make those.
You say you don't want Western education, still.
You know, a lot of those places are still not totally safe. Even after that attack, because the Boko Haram have gone back to that same community to attack soldiers, you know, to attack people. So, and the road to that community, you cannot vouch that nothing will happen.
At this point?
Yes, even now. That was why the man was praying. That was why that commissioner was praying for me as I was about to leave the place. And he was saying, look, do your best to leave the place before 5 p.m. We eventually left the place some minutes past 5 because we had to do the job. We couldn't finish on time. Yeah. But we always have to pray to God because you never can tell when they will strike. And that's why they've been slow in terms of returning the students. They had to be sure that those areas are safe. All the 7 frontline local governments in Yobe State. Because Yobe suffered the ill effects of the insurgency.
At the beginning?
A lot. After Borno, I think Yobe suffered the most. After Borno, Yobe suffered the most. So they are very careful. They want to be sure that those places are safe before they consider bringing students back. You know, so it's.
It begs the question of how did we get here?
I don't know. I don't know how.
You remember?
We're here.
He mentioned the Metasine Wahala of the early 80s. It started like a child's play. But it was nipped in the bud.
Yes, we are here now. The question should be, how do we exit it? And that's why I commend documentaries like this. Because it's supposed to re-energize government. It has to stop this because, I mean, when after watching it, and you just said 9 years after, and we are still talking about it, and it's still happening, you're trying, but to give to create the impression that you're not trying enough. It's time. It has to stop. Because there are still schools in Yobe, and there are still schools around Buniyadi. And they go to school all the time. So you cannot say it as what if it happens again? We know these people. That's my take. We need to tackle it. And we just need to stop it. They can't
like
continue
the
running
case in Afghanistan, it started like a child's play. So you can now see what Afghanistan was going through. Insurgency.
And you cannot even deny that some of their motivation came from some of those countries like Somalia, like Afghanistan, like Iraq, the extremism that we are talking about. We are inspired by some of the things that they saw in other places. Some of the methods that Shekau, by the way, Shekau is was from Yobe State, from Tamwa local government in Yobe State. Yes.
That's what I was
so they see videos of ISIS executing people and all that. So that must have encouraged them to say, look, in Nigeria, we can do this. And they get paid every time they provide videos of their escapades and all that. They get paid by the ISIS.
All right. Jide Anthony, we must go. But let's tell the viewer, if you missed any part of this broadcast, not to worry. At 11 later tonight, we will broadcast the repeat of this show. And of course, to remind you that on Sunday, we make it a 2-hour stint, 1:30 to 3:30. And we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. So on behalf of the Backroom Boys, I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.
Is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it's difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your